So yeah, Jeff, thank you so much for being here today. It means a lot for you to take time out of your really busy schedule to to be here and spend time with me as usual and be there as a light, as a guiding source. So I know who you are, but not everybody else does. So if you don't mind just introducing yourself in a couple words.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Jeff Cauvin, and I'm I'm a consultant by nature, and I help fix people's problems more on the strategy side. Besides that, I try to pour my heart and soul into just giving back because there's a lot of things that I've been able to accomplish in my life, and it was through just people helping me. So when people ask me, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, one, I would say that, by the grace of God, I'm here. But most importantly, I like to just help out and give back. That's what I would like to say about a little bit about myself.
I would agree with most of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know a lot about how you were growing up, but
Mm-hmm.
I know who you are now, and
Yeah.
you've really you've done a lot for me that you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you actually know. Obviously, there's a lot that you helped me with professionally and mentored me professionally, like helped me, but not a lot that you might know outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, to start us off today, I want to do this a little bit differently, and I wrote you a poem.
You read my poem or you wrote me?
I wrote you a poem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote you a poem. I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give it to you afterwards.
Okay, nice.
That's why I said you mustn't read this when you got here.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So it says, "Oh, how I wish that I could rid myself of all this pressure, to live my life so whimsically and get all that I desire. But that itself is indeed a wish that's tainted by the present moment. It sees not into the future. We long to strive, but just don't know it."
Huh. Wow, I'm real touched.
You are?
Yeah.
And it's for you. I like to fold things up a certain way.
Uh-huh.
So
I was gonna frame it, man. You're gonna.
you,
Yeah, I might. Okay, do what you normally
I'll
do,
do what I do,
and then I'll frame it.
and you can frame it. So this is
Yeah.
for you. Signed it down for you. Put your name there.
Okay.
I didn't put the date though. So you can...
Hey, you should put the date, man.
I do.
Here's the pen. You have to put the date, man. It makes it super official.
Today is 6/20/2026.
Mm-hmm. Man,
Yeah.
that's impressive, man. I thought those were like a list of questions.
I try and make sure I don't have any list of questions.
Okay.
I just try and keep it as organic as I can.
Nah, I like that, but that's definitely getting framed. I don't think anyone ever wrote me a poem, man.
Really?
Nah, but I do write poems on the side. Yeah,
You do write poems?
yeah. Gotta share my. Nice. Really appreciate this, guys.
Of course.
That's Mr. Wise Man.
So, well, that aside, I think today I wanted to make sure we talk a lot about mentorship and what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a little stat here.
Okay.
And you're a consultant, so I know that as I pull out a piece of information, you're going to think about it a certain way.
Okay. Check you out. You did your homework on.
I did.
Okay.
So it says 75%. This is a Harvard Business Review.
Okay.
75% of executives credit their success to having a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense. In a Harvard Business Review, 84% of CEOs said mentors helped them avoid costly mistakes, and 69% reported making more profitable decisions because of mentor guidance. Is this some sort of lucky charm, having a mentor? Is like having a mentor like a lucky charm that helps you succeed? I don't know. I mean, if you read that, that's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some of the underlying factors that people don't tend to consider when it comes to the benefit of having a mentor?
So some of the things that people don't think about is like where you're at in life and where you want to be in life, and how are you finding these types of people to align with where you are currently and how they can get you to wherever in life you want to be, whether if it's the next promotion or start a business, or some people that are like working folks in corporate America. Sometimes they get tired of the corporate life and they just want to transition. So that's when they would, reach out to folks that are in entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But sometimes I feel like mentees looking for mentors also needs to do the due diligence and be very serious, because something that you don't want to waste, that you cannot get back, is time. So if you're just reaching out to random people without a purpose, then it's not a good productive, time of you using that in order to find something that's supposed to be meaningful. And also, it's not supposed to be one-sided where the mentor is supposed to just tell you everything. It's a both way, because I believe in mentorship. It's you know it's it's a two-way street. And I say that because just because I may have more knowledge, but that doesn't mean that I can't learn from the mentee. It's supposed to be organic. And on top of that, I feel like sometimes you got to look at fit, just like how when you're in a workplace, they talk about culture fit, they talk about whatever, even in therapy, like, you got to make sure you vibe with your therapist. It's just like that with mentorship. Do you guys vibe? Do you guys have that organic connection? Because if you don't, it's going to be super hard. Like, do you feel like you're yourself? Because sometimes, when you're meeting someone with super years of experience, super experience, you tend to present a more polished version of yourself where you can't be yourself. And you don't want to do that. Of course, you want to be organic, but you also want to, be yourself in the sense of like not trying to put up this facade and where it's like, it's a show. So that's one of the things that mentees are supposed to really, do their due diligence in the sense of like, hey, do I have an organic connection with this person? Do I feel like I can be myself with this person? Do I respect this person? Because mentorship, if you don't respect your mentor, you can't really, really gain anything. Because most of the time, someone told me that when you do mentorship, just because you have the years of experience, a lot of the times the mentor is going to talk a lot, a lot. And I didn't get that until I became a mentor. And then he said that when you're in the presence of your mentor and they keep talking, just listen. Because believe it or not, by them just talking and talking, whether if it's about themselves or experience, you're actually learning. And I think one of the things that mentees also need to do is to be able to listen. You don't want to start an interaction and you think you know it all. If you're going into whatever mentorship, menteeship, or whatever, thinking you know everything, then that's not going to work, because you already have in your mind that you don't need a mentorship because you think you know everything. And I'm going to stop there because I've said a lot. I can tackle many points of that, but for me, that's just a loaded thing I see. But I'm going to stop and just,
Man, I took a couple mental notes of that.
yeah.
And you did mention, I mean, a common theme
Mhm.
for that was having the heart of actually wanting to help someone.
Mhm.
And then I wouldn't say the opposing side, but something that was actually in tandem with that was the mentee side actually having the humility to understand they need help.
Yeah.
For us, and also the other thing you mentioned was being in a space where the mentee can be themselves without having to put up a facade.
Mhm.
And we met in a very interesting place because it was a place where a lot of, God-fearing men are in a space of being very vulnerable.
Mhm.
And by virtue of them being there, they are all seeking to better or improve their lives, be it spiritually, physically, mentally. And that's our small group.
Yeah.
And in such a space, I think it was much easier for us to connect because you don't go through so many different tunnels and loops until you get to the point. You say, hey, my name's Takunda, I'm doing this is what I'm about. Then you introduce yourself and it's easy to connect. Growing up for yourself, were there such spaces for young men or old men or just men in general to be themselves to the point where they can actually receive the help? Because one thing I've noticed, especially in my culture, is that as a man, you're forced to put up a certain, not facade. I think it's actually something that's, if it's done correctly, it makes sense. You don't want to walk in and see a man just crying on the floor every day. Like, no, you expect more. I mean,
Yeah.
just generally. So my question is, growing up, was there that space of being able to be truly vulnerable and be able to seek help in the same space that we had?
That's a very great question because as a fellow foreigner myself, from Haiti, you know how just just being a foreigner in general, there's certain things about what it's like to be a man and just certain, I want to say, ideas and ideals of what it means to be a man. And one of the things that I had to experience growing up was just detachment. And I say detachment in the sense of like not letting things affect me and then trying to be extremely self sufficient. And a lot of times when I started doing that, I felt like I was just getting more and more disconnected with reality and people because one of the key points you've mentioned is religion and stuff like that. And I didn't really find God truly until 2 years ago. I grew up in a Christian home, and a lot of the times, like I didn't really understand what it meant to be a Christian man. I think as Christians, I feel like the most important thing is understanding God and also understanding what God's purpose is for you, and then everything else comes. So obviously I didn't have that strong, connection with God. So I didn't even know what it meant to be a man. I knew I had a lot of bad examples growing up, and I knew some things I didn't want to do. But ultimately, as the years went on, the very things that I didn't want to do, I was doing, like hard, thinking I can do everything on my own, prideful, as foreigners, that pride can really kill anybody as far as like just limiting your abilities to just understand certain things. Um, I think that was like a big just downfall for me and not knowing how to express myself. Even if I knew I needed the help, I don't know how I would go about it. And it was just pure luck that, you know, God just put random people in my life to help me teach, the little things I needed to in order to become who I am now, more open and truly understand what it means. So growing up, I didn't feel like I could be myself, didn't really feel like I could really connect. It was just random occurrences that helped me. It's not like I was seeking it. Perfect example, in 8th grade, I had this teacher, his name was Mr. Galbraith. He was just very active in the urban community and just making sure like Black men or just minorities in general don't end up being a statistic. So we had something called like the Freedom Writers where we would learn how to, write and just write about what's going on. And we would, tap into a much softer side. And and that really helped me a lot because one thing he said to me, and I'll never forget that, 8th grade, I used to be a very special kid. And I tell people it's just I was just misunderstood. I didn't really have people, but this man, Mr. Galbraith, really just set the tone when he said, "Hey Jeff, you'll be lucky if you see 18." Obviously, growing up in the city, not having good mentorship, it just creates this pattern of like, constant trouble, constant just negativity, constant just, and you become a product of your environment in the sense of like now you're just a statistic. So when he said that, I don't know what I had in me. I'm like, man, I'm gonna prove him wrong. And then I started just understanding the things he said because like, when you're like 13 in 8th grade, you're not thinking about your future. You're just thinking about right now. And I just didn't like that statement he made. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show him. And then obviously I didn't want to die. And I started just going to church a little bit more. The ironic thing is I was a part of like a youth group at church and, started getting more involved in church and stuff like that. But it wasn't what it is now. And even when I was in church, the crazy thing is I never felt like I could be myself. And one of the things I struggled with was like who to reach out to when I was like going through something. Because, you know, as a foreigner, I'm not sure if your parents ever said, what real problems can you have? You're like only 13, or like you don't have any problems. You don't have a family, stuff like that. So like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't have any real problems until I started having real problems and didn't know how to manage it. One of the things I've learned was it's okay to, you know, go to therapy and stuff like that, because that was like later in my life. So majority of like my childhood and upbringing, I never really felt like I can go to someone, I can be myself, until these random people just popped into my life. And that's why like I make an effort to just pay it back, because all the folks that's been these random occurrences in my life that were so impactful, one of the things they usually would say to me is pay it forward. Because when that interaction started between them and myself, I actually learned something, and I got to, you know, shed some of like the burdens and the weights, where I started just taking little steps towards being able to be comfortable with myself, being able to understand what it means to be a man, knowing that, you know, you need to be understanding, you need to be patient, and you need to move with love. And all those things I've been learning is centered around faith, because that's been key into what I believe it is to be a man, and what I believe to just be able to connect with yourself. Because if you're so cold and you don't have like a source, a spiritual source like God, then everything just becomes very mundane and very repetitive. And you're going to keep searching for this thing because you feel so empty. And I spent a lot of years feeling empty. It wasn't until I'm like 34 right now, until I was like 32, like a couple years ago, when I really made that commitment to learn what it means to feel whole, and what it means to move with love, and what it means to also be a man. Because some of the things like social media would teach you how to act a certain way, it's not real, man. It's not real. And I highly advise people not to watch stuff like that or believe stuff like that, because it doesn't work.
I've been saying this to a lot of my friends over the last couple of days, weeks, probably months now. They're the ones who probably know how long it's been. But whenever they present a solution to me, or some idealistic way of life, I ask them, okay, what's the alternative? And for you and I, having these interactions has been absolutely crucial, pivotal. It's been so important, or there's such a massive role in both of our lives to, you know, by way of what trajectory we're going to take going forward after those interactions. And, you know, where you are before, where you are during the interaction, where you are after, you get to see how crucial the interaction is, but be it with a mentor, be it with any person who chooses to pay something forward. How about for someone else who isn't able to see that, or who maybe is not really witnessing that? What's a starting point that they can actually take? Because for myself, I have grown up with great mentors, great like male figures, great female figures in my life. I'm really blessed to have that. The one thing I've noticed that's really helped me in times when I didn't really have that is writing, like the poem that I just wrote you. And the really special thing about writing is that, I mean, I've said it before, I think it's like listening and speaking at the same time. It gives so much clarity. If you're taking so many thoughts and you write them down, at least you can see what you're dealing with. Was writing something you always did in those times where you weren't really sure on how to present yourself, how to really be yourself, what it means to be a man? What was something else that was helping you? Because for me, like backtrack a couple of years, I've just been writing for years, and that's really helped me articulate my thoughts well and all of that. So for you, what was that? Was writing one of those things?
You want to know something very interesting with that question? It's like you have to unlearn a lot of things before you get to a healthy space to where you can pick certain outlets to do certain things, to, you know, let out your thoughts in a positive way, or if your feelings. Writing for me wasn't a thing for majority of my life, it was just me thinking of what I thought I wanted to do in a sense of just trying to express myself, but never really found the thing that really made me whole until I started going to therapy a few years ago. And then my therapist, she had suggested writing. And then if we want to backtrack, I want to tackle the whole pride thing. One thing about pride, it's like it doesn't allow you to do healthy things to express yourself because you feel like you know everything, and things you see that should be healthy, you don't do it because you don't think you need it. One of the core reasons for me going to therapy was just to prove a point that I didn't need therapy. And as I went in the session,
That gets a lot of people.
yeah,
It gets a lot of people. One of my friends too. He's like,
yeah,
someone comes up to him like, "Yo, you need to go to therapy. You need to go to therapy." Like, fine, I'm just gonna go to shit I don't need it. Now he's
exactly.
been going.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
And one of the things with me, I don't like to speak on things I haven't experienced or learned, because if I like genuinely don't like something, I don't want to say it because it's a feeling. I want to say it because, okay, these are the reasons why I don't like it. So now I can put a little bit of feeling into it based on what I've experienced. I don't like XYZ versus saying, well, I don't like that and know nothing about it. So therapy was just one of those things that, as a foreign man, it's like, it's like, who needs therapy? Oh, you don't need therapy. It's just, that's what was my mindset. And then when I went through therapy, I started realizing, man, there's a lot of habits that are not good habits. And I think once I was able to learn what these bad habits are and try to unlearn these bad habits, I was able to really do things differently to allow myself to grow. Because one of the important things is learning how to manage certain triggers. Because in life, we all have triggers and experiences, but it's how we manage the triggers. And one of the things that I learned with one of my triggers is like when I'm going through something, instead of lashing out or holding it in, write. So I started writing, I started doing poetry and stuff like that. And I've been talking about this for a long time, but I never really was committed until I really started going to therapy and really taking it seriously, because originally I went to prove a point. Um, so when we started unlocking a lot of these things, I'm like, okay, writing became a thing. And now I have like a little IG account, and I've been posting some of my contents. That's been my, healthy outlet, versus, outside of work and stuff like that. That's been one of the things that I've been really passionate about, because it helps me unburden myself, because a lot of my poems and writing, it's literally about my journey. And it has like a very religious undertone to it. Just like, just my walk with God, how I wasn't perfect, how I'm doing my best trying to transform myself. But all these things, to just circle back to your original question, it's like sometimes you're not going to know until you try it. And I didn't even try this until in my 30s. So sometimes you won't know how to go about it. But if you really have like random people here and there guiding you, you hope and pray that you can get to a place to where you can start doing more healthier things. And it's all about who you surround yourself with. Like the more positive people you surround yourself with, the more, you know, as time goes by, you're going to start, you know, picking these good habits. And then these good habits, you're going to apply it to yourself, and then they're going to become your good habits. And then in time, you're going to pick and choose how you want to express yourself in a very healthy way. For some people, it's writing. For some people, it's like going to therapy. For some people, it's mentorship, talking about their experience and helping one another. For me, it's both. It's writing and mentorship, because I was able to learn from other people. I didn't have like an exact science to it. It was just being very conscious of trying to surround myself with good people, like genuinely good people. not the ones that pretends to be good or pretend to have your best interest at heart when they don't. So yeah, that was just pretty much it.
Back to the part of how, we're looking at the other side of things. For example, if it's hard to answer these questions, but because we truly don't know the real answer. If you're to go back and you weren't going to prove your eighth grade teacher wrong, what was the other path? And how was that path less attractive to you?
Hmm. It's like you said to prove my eighth grade teacher wrong. Why I wanted to prove my eighth grade teacher wrong, or the other side?
No, the other side of if you chose not to want to prove him wrong, and what was the other side of the lifestyle that you could have lived?
Like that lifestyle scared me, and that lifestyle was just being just not successful. Like not going to college, not going to a good high school, just giving up on life and and blaming people for my actions. And I'm pretty sure I probably wouldn't have a close relationship with God. I'm pretty sure like if I did choose that path, you and I wouldn't be here talking because I wouldn't know you. Um, and that part is scary because there's a lot of times when I think about people that did choose that. I remember just growing up, I'm with some of my friends. I'm thinking, oh man, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna, finish elementary school, go to middle school, and then go to high school, and then go to college. And by the time high school came around, people just started you know, doing their own thing, and just the track was very different for some. And I'm like, wow, because if I didn't really make that commitment for myself, I probably would have been around some pretty not so good people. I probably would have just been just someone angry all the time, someone just blaming people for my shortcomings. But I'm glad I didn't choose that. And I definitely would not have learned how to cope with some of my traumas in a very healthy way, because I believe everyone has traumas. Um, but yeah, I think life would have been very just terrible for me. And I just didn't want that.
And it's crazy how sometimes, I mentioned this quite a lot,
Hmm.
but it's one of these red rat experiments where they put like cheese at the front. So they put a spring
Hmm.
on the rat's tail
Hmm.
to measure like the force.
Okay.
And they put cheese at the edge of the cage.
Hmm.
Then rat smells the cheese, runs to the cheese, runs as fast as it can towards the cheese.
Hmm.
Right? Great. And then they did the experiment again. Still same cheese.
Hmm.
Still have a rat, still have a spring, but there's now a cat chasing the rat.
Hmm.
So now you find that the rat's actually running a lot faster because it's running away from the bad stuff
Hmm.
and towards the good stuff.
Hmm.
And it's crazy when both the push and the pull factors are in the same equation,
Hmm.
how much it can really just drive you. And I would like to believe that there's less of the running away from the cat for you right now.
Hmm.
And for a lot of people, when there isn't something behind them chasing them, they're not going to be willing to actually jack up and do something about it. So for you, what then kept you going when things started to get a lot better for you? Why are you still on the path? Why are you still trying to better yourself? Like, what's the reason?
You know what the reason is? It's funny. I like that research you talked about, because when when things were going bad, I saw myself running towards God, asking God to deliver me. When things were going great, I didn't do as much running towards the good stuff. I'm like, man, life is good. So I don't really need that push. So one of the things that I made a commitment to is like, hey, when things are going good, I'm going to continue seeking God. I'm going to continue giving God praise, and I'm going to continue doing the right things, because the only time when I went to God was when things were going bad. So now, one of the things I started doing for myself when I really started taking faith seriously, and it all started like this. Like I was challenging myself, can I stay consistent in the things I do? So when I started going to church, to Freedom, I used to get picked up from my by my friend. We went to the same school together. Every Sunday she would pick me up. And then I'm like, okay, can I do this by myself? And I'm like, hey, Mimi, look, you don't need to pick me up. I want to start going to church by myself. Because if I really want it, I should be able to do it by myself. And then small group, at one point, Farama used to pick me up for Thursday small group. Every Thursday, pick me up. And I'm like, okay, if Farama wasn't around, can I continue doing this? So when I started going to church consistently, and then when I started like going to small group consistently, I'm like, okay, now what can I do to give back? I'm learning these things and I'm staying consistent. Now, how can I start giving back to people? Whether it's through mentorship. So I started just changing my approach. I'm like, okay, I want to mentor uh, people. I want to give back as much as I can. How can I create this atmosphere? I first started at work. I had my counselees, and the ironic thing is, the more I was growing into faith, the more solid I became. It became a natural thing. Sometimes I would incorporate my faith into my regular day-to-day work. I would say things, hey, I'm not sure if you believe in God or anything, but this is, what I would do. And even when I would get like good feedback, I'm like, hey, this was all God. It wasn't me. So I try to just incorporate that. And then I started really just changing my approach. Started cursing less, just started doing things that I held myself accountable. Because a lot of times it's so easy to just blame things on other things, especially if we're the person doing the action and we don't want to experience the full consequences. I've been there. I've been at rock bottom. And I do believe that this is me. People might disagree, but I believe that people want to ultimately do good. I don't think people wake up and want to do bad. I really think if given the chance, people would choose to do good, because I believe when you reach a certain point in life, you do want to help. You do want to give back. You do want people to be successful. So that's just been that thing for me, to where I don't need that cat to motivate me. What motivates me is my accountability that I made to myself, and also with God, because like some of the things that God has done for me, that's all the motivation I need. Because time after time, there's just a lot of things that's been happening. God pulled me out through some interesting stuff in my life. So that's all I need, is that motivation from God. I don't need bad things to be motivated anymore. And then also that consistency, because if these good things are happening, I gotta pay for it. I gotta give it back. I can't be selfish with all the blessings I've received. I have to share it, because ultimately, one of the things that I really do want to do, I want to produce good fruit. In order for me to produce good fruit, I need to hold myself accountable. I can't hold on all the seeds. No, I have to spread it out and give some. And hopefully that person learned something and pay it forward. That's my motivation.
And that part is really key, because it ties into one of the other really big questions that I had, which is, okay, so picture this.
Mhm.
Let me just let's backtrack a little bit to when we met.
Mhm.
We met in a space, like I said, where a lot of men, it was Tuesday evening,
Mhm.
7:30 p.m., sometimes here in 45,
Yeah.
during the summer, meet up, get to just talk about our week,
Yeah.
our day, what's going on in our lives, what are we really prayer for, where are we going, what are we really struggling with. It's beyond the surface conversations.
Mhm.
And in those spaces, it's very vulnerable. But what tends to happen, or at least from what I've observed, is that lack of confidence within a lot of men. I mean, ultimately, yeah, you can go up, you can go in a boardroom, you can stand up, you can speak, you can talk about a topic with no flaws, no stuttering, nothing. You'd be perfect. But then behind the scenes, there's a part of you that just feels like, you're not enough, or like you need to do more. And actually, let's open that up again. And something that's really interesting about it is because, let me get to it. It's on.
Yeah. No, while you open that up, but it's you have to know, just a disclaimer, when I was in a small group, I wasn't vulnerable. It wasn't until people were calling me out on my stuff, that's when I was like, okay, these men, they really care and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my point. Yeah, you weren't, but you got there eventually.
Exactly.
But I even observed that your steps of, like, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I want to figure this thing out a little bit. To actually, I want to do this. And what happened was that throughout all of that, you didn't stop being a consultant. You didn't stop being good at what you do. And we tend to look at the things that we're not good at and make that the main reason why we can't help. So think about, like, someone else who could be in a similar position as you could say, listen, I'm trying to figure this out. I need to, like, step away, be by myself, figure it out, then come back and help people. You help me fix up my resume for 2 hours, help me build my network, consistently take calls even when you're busy and on the road seeing clients, whilst you were still figuring things out. And my point being that we tend to look at the things that we don't have and make that the major reason why we absolutely cannot help someone else. So for you, you were facing everything that I said. What then for you still gave you the courage to come and speak to me and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you about? I can help you. Because there's a certain element of shame that is tied to the process of bettering yourself as a human being, not even as a man. And it's sometimes really embarrassing to want to show that side of yourself and be, the guy who's good in professional life as well. So what was it for you that
I had to humble myself? And I think a lot of that stuff started in small group because, to your point, when I would go to small group, I wasn't Jeff the manager, Jeff the consultant. I wasn't Jeff anything where people would like say, hey, Jeff, don't want to, like, bother you. I know you're super busy. That's Jeff at work. But when I went to small group, I'm not those things. I'm just a man trying to seek God and want to be around other men trying to seek God, brothers trying to just seek one thing. And we're all at different phases in life. Who knows? You might be at, let's say, a step 5 in faith. But let's say when it comes to, like, just regular experience, world corporate stuff, I might be at a 10 or 15. That's where we can come into the middle ground. The way I saw it coming in, it's like, man, I want to learn. I hopefully that, I can grow in faith. And if you ever needed something like in the corporate world, as far as like how to maneuver, that's easy. Like, I live and breathe that stuff. It was just more for me. The first step was just humbling myself because I knew that in order for me to grow in faith, I need to take advice. Just like I wasn't going in there thinking about, oh man, these men of God are super young or blah, blah, blah. Nah, because some of the things I've genuinely learned was from you all, regardless of the age gap, because I feel like there's no age when it comes to just seeking God. So that was just my approach. And as far as like, oh man, I'm not there yet in order to help, because a lot of times when you meet people, you'll hear the phrase, well, you first have to help yourself first in order to help people. And I'm going to slightly change that. It is half true and also not true. It's half true because I believe in order to educate, in order to teach someone, you have to have a sense of awareness and a sense of that experience. But on the flip side, I'll use the example. When I was starting my LLC and I wanted to hire somebody, I had that knowledge, but there was certain knowledge I didn't have where I'm like, oh, let's learn it together. And I brought the person along the journey while we were figuring things out. Just because I didn't know it didn't mean that we couldn't figure it out. And that's why I love the whole collaboration thing, because as long as you have an open mind and you want to grow together, then it becomes a process. And for me, it wasn't a thought or, man, I'm not there yet, I'm not going to help. It was more of like, how can we get there together, regardless of where we're at? And that's why I will continue helping people, even though if like I'm stressed out. I'm not saying I will respond immediately, but just know that I will respond back. Um, and that's just what it is for me. I don't really want to be ready by that time. Who knows? Maybe for you, it might have been something super urgent while I'm getting ready. Time is being wasted. Why not figure it out together? Because I feel like I'll use work as an example. The more you elevate, the less training you get to be ready, because they're expecting your experience and they're expecting you to leverage that experience to hit the ground running. So there's been positions I've been in where I didn't get a real formal training. It was expected that I already knew what I was doing. And the key with the experience part, there was times I didn't know what I was doing, but I was able to use past experiences to figure things out. And I think it's just like that in life. I feel like when you're with people, everyone has experiences that are valuable in like whatever situation it is. You just got to learn how to appreciate that and learn what those differences are so you guys can grow together. Sometimes people don't appreciate the different types of experiences because one person might think, oh, that's not relevant. Oh man, that's not important, or blah, blah, blah. I have more experience, when it shouldn't be like that. Because at the end of the day, we all want to learn and grow. And I feel like if we are given the opportunity to do something good, we will. Sometimes people just don't give other people that opportunity. So for me, I'm just trying to practice what I preach, and I'm trying to just be the change agent of what I want. Because Charles had said, if we really want to make a difference, what are you doing? So I want to make a difference, so I'm actually doing something. And hopefully by me doing that, I'm able to influence the person I'm helping to then pay it forward. Um, if I can't help 20 people, and if I'm able to help at least 5 people, I pray and hope those 5 people can help another 5 people, or even one. It's just building up the tree. So that's how I see it.
There's a strong hint of just incremental gain to it. And, back to, how you said a lot of things are based on faith. There's a part in the Bible, I think it's in Proverbs, about incremental gain. And it talks about, he who gathers like a large sum of wealth overnight, pretty much, will be sure to lose it. But the one who gathers little by little will be sure to keep it. And that whole part of little by little, I've always questioned it, but the one of the most cheesiest things that people like to say is, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Like, it's kind of true, because at the end of the day, what do we really have? Like, what we have is right now. We're just living. At the end of the day, hey, like, everybody's out there just trying to live. Like, we can say we have this value, we do that. Everybody's trying to live. We're trying to figure it out. And that whole part of being able to figure it out together is what makes it special too. I said this to one of my friends the other day. They said that they like to be by themselves and they don't like to see people. I'm like, are you sure about that? I mean, if you got to work today and there was no one there and it was just you, would you be happy? You say you're productive when you're by yourself. Are you sure? And then, we had that little back and forth. But I just said the main thing that I usually say, that one thing that's really special about getting to meet people and live life with them is that people are able to witness your life from a lens that you might not ever get to experience. And just because you can't ever get to experience that, it doesn't mean that it's not real.
Right.
And the way you see me, I have no idea how you see me. I don't know how Charles sees me. I don't know how Adam sees me. I don't know how people see me. But that doesn't mean that it's not real. Because someone else is able to witness my life through a different lens, and that's really special. And when it comes to even just the whole journey of mentorship, is, I think there's sometimes a very idealistic approach to it. Like people expect it to be like, oh, this guy is literally helping elevate you to high heights. No, like we're trying to figure things out together. How,
Exactly.
for example, the job market was today and how it was when you started is different. But just because it's different doesn't mean that you can't give any input.
Right.
You know, to me, and back to your like a biblical principle again, like there's nothing new under the sun. Like just because granddad is 90 years old, he's like, yeah, he's like, just because granddad is 90 years old, it doesn't mean that the game has changed. Things just look different, but it's ultimately things are very similar, and that's something that's been really, it's been something that I've taken really closely to my heart to know that okay, like things do intersect, and I don't know if I had some sort of encouragement to anyone out there, it would be just because you don't know all of it, and just because you haven't fully figured it out yet, doesn't mean that you can't help someone else. And like us being here right now, it's a testament of that. And yeah, it's really special to me. In fact, the statistic that I mentioned at the beginning, I think, yeah, it's a statistic, but at the end of the day, too, there's so many other factors that tie into that that people just don't seem to notice. For example, like one of my professors tells me, when you start your company, make sure you get some really good mentors. When you get your venture capitalists to come in and put in funding, like offer a seat on your board if you can, if it's a really good mentor, all these things. But yeah, we see the word mentor everywhere, but we don't see what actually goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The asking your mentor and he says, I actually don't know. And you figure it out together. So that's just something that's really special to me. So if I had anything to say, I would say that. And I don't know if you agree, if you disagree with that, but ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to. It comes down to that experience and that relationship of being humble enough to, explain that you can't know something, but also be confident enough to say that, hey, listen, like I know you think this, but I've had the experience and I think you should take this path.
No, I completely agree. I think mentorship, let's just say there's just a bunch of chaos in whatever that you're trying to do, and you need someone with that experience or whatever. I believe that a mentor is supposed to come in and create some type of structure to minimize the chaos. If there's some chaos, maybe it might be some type of structured chaos where you guys are learning how to manage the chaos based on, the mentor's experience and based on the mentee's experience. And it's just a collaboration, because remember earlier when I said mentorship is supposed to be two-way. We're supposed to be learning from each other. And crazy enough, some of the craziest ideas, even I'll use my poetry, like I write poems and stuff like that. So I have a social media content manager. She's like 22, just graduated like this past May, and one of the things that I needed help with was how to be more creative, because, sometimes I can be very black and white. Like my creative juices, just it's not there. She comes in, I write the poem, and then she would ask questions. Hey, what did you mean by that line? And I would explain it. And then by the time we're done, she's done asking the question, the poem expanded into something beautiful, something more meaningful. I say that because it's just like mentorship. If there's a problem, especially to your earlier point, things are different, but that doesn't mean it's the underlying thing is not the same. It's just the vehicle might just be a lot shinier, a lot different, but still the same issue. So for me, I know there's just a lot of things I didn't grow up with Gen AI and stuff like that, or I didn't have these savvy tools. And I tell the people I mentor, I'm like, man, if I had these tools by your age and if I had my knowledge, I would have been a bona fide millionaire by then. Like I would straight up be a millionaire by then. So they teach me these tools and how to just work more efficiently. And I teach them how to really just navigate some of the things that they haven't experienced yet. And that's how things work, because when you're providing that time, you want to make it valuable for both people. And sometimes it might not. Sometimes the mentee might just want to vent, want just input, want some feedback about something, and that's it. But here's on the flip side, as the mentor, the way I see it, I'm like, oh man, my mentee came to me with this problem. I've never really encountered this problem before. This is how I would go about it. Because sometimes I believe a mentee is supposed to challenge the mentor on how they think, because you have to think about things differently as a mentor. You can't keep giving the same feedback or same advice to all your mentees. And that's where I've noticed, especially in corporate America, man, you'll see this generic, hey, you gotta go out and find a mentor. You gotta make sure like they're a good fit and stuff like that. But they don't tell you how to go about it. It's just like you're saying all these great things, but how do you go about it? It's just like in America, man. Everyone loves the just rich and famous and the limelight and all that. And they don't understand what goes behind the scenes, the ugliness, the late nights, the mental breakdowns. They don't understand that. Marketing is definitely a very powerful thing. And I believe that, and when I was just talking to somebody about marketing is so powerful to the point where they can make you believe anything. They can really make you believe that you can really just be rich overnight or learn 10 years worth of stuff overnight. Marketing gives people this false hope, and it's not real, but brilliant. Marketing, phenomenal. But at the same time, I think people need to just be realistic, because there's just certain things that's just not going to happen as fast as we want. But it's important that we're learning and growing together, because sometimes, like, when people say certain things, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And then they would challenge me and say, well, why doesn't it make sense? And then now I need to provide that example where it's more of like, oh man, it's just a healthy challenge and back and forth within respect. Like, I feel like, to the earlier point, if you have a mentor that you don't respect, then it doesn't work. It doesn't work. If I say something and you like think it's off, you should be comfortable enough to tell me like, hey, Jeff, this is off because of X, Y, and Z. Then now it becomes a dialogue. And that's why I'm going to circle everything from the very beginning. As a mentee, you're supposed to feel comfortable being yourself. And if something's off, don't bring your most polished self into the interaction, because you're going to say, yeah, but you're going to have these doubts in your mind, and the interaction is not going to be meaningful, because you're going to leave that not genuinely getting what you wanted. And then you're going to be back at square one. And then next thing you know, you have like 10, 50 different mentors. Like, it just doesn't work. When you find that mentor where you can be your genuine self and you can really just punt things and be honest, it goes a long way versus people, they have mentorships for everything. Mentorship for like fashion, mentorship for current events. It's just sometimes like, I get it, but at the same time, like, really? But yeah.
So if there's one unmarketed
Mm-hmm.
version
Mm-hmm.
of, if there was one unmarketed
Mm-hmm.
piece of advice you'd give to either mentor or mentee
Mm-hmm.
on how to go about the journey, what would it be?
Just be open, and that's both sides, because one thing about experience I've learned, when you have experience and you know how to do a good job, comes credibility. And then with credibility, there's a sense of ego-ness to it. Like, yeah, I've been doing this for so long. I know what I'm doing. And then also, sometimes when a mentee's looking for a mentor, that can be a little intimidating, because sometimes, let's say a mentee admires this one person, but they're just so intimidated by that person. If both people are open, you can, allow that, that door for the mentee to come in and just ask for mentorship. Because sometimes when someone's like, knows what they're doing, extremely good at what they do, the credibility's there, that can be intimidating, especially with someone without experience. They're gonna be questioning themselves, and I think it's the mentor's job to just create that safe space to allow the mentee to be themselves. Because obviously there's gonna be gaps in the experience, but that doesn't mean that the interaction can't be valuable. So to answer your question, just openness from both sides.
That is something that could be a big challenge for people culturally, but especially from
Yeah,
learning your culture.
no, I know. And mind you, I'm saying all these things. It took me years to get here. Like, it sounds so simple, but it's really not. And I really think it's just trial and error. Just putting yourself out there. Like the worst thing that can happen is someone says no, or
That's not the worst thing that can happen.
or like, why are you wasting my time? Or
Okay,
just,
there you go.
or
It's getting worse.
obviously
Getting worse.
we're on this podcast and I'm being nice because I don't want to. Nah, there might be like, who is this person, or like, who are you? I only have 5 minutes to give you, or I'm giving real examples from my experience. There was one person, when I used to work at a investment company, I might not say, and this one person, he was really just very pro helping, pro this. And I'm like, man, this is a person I would really want to get to know. And then I have to go through this person admin, and I spent probably 6 months trying to get in this on this person's calendar. Never got on this person's calendar. But he's always marketing this stuff. That's why I kind of alluded to the whole marketing. Oh yeah, marketing. Like you would see little clips because he's on a company's just page, just marketing this thing. And then when I'm reaching out, I'm like, dude, like, I've been trying to get a hold of you like 6, 8 months. And then the folks that you do manage to get a hold of, hey, can we make this quick? I have 10, 15 minutes because I got to jump on a call.
Automatically, you feel like
Yeah.
you're not wanted there.
Yeah. Or when they make time, they're here saying, hey, I gotta send this ping out, or wait, give me a second. I gotta like, respond back to this email. I'm like,
You still do like this.
yeah. It's just like, oh wait, I have a call. 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry to cut this short.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, put something on the calendar for next week. I'm like,
yeah. And that's the one thing that I honestly did not like through that experience, because I felt like when I encountered those folks, I felt like I didn't feel like a real person, or I wasn't important. And it was people. And then when I got to that certain level, I understood, because they would never tell their boss, oh, I don't have time. And they're more easily accessible to for their boss than someone. And that was like the thing that I did not want to do. I didn't want to like cap my time and not help, because everyone starts from somewhere and they're gonna need the help. So with your buddy that you were talking about that said they work productively when no one's around or don't need anybody, that's not necessarily true. You can be super productive, but at some point you're gonna need someone to whether validate if your work is right, or validate something, or just that human interaction, because that's important. I mean, I can work in craziness and I can also work in quietness, but overall I would prefer human interaction. Sometimes, perfect example, some people might not like this, but I like going into the office. Like, I like the ability to work from home. I love that option, but I also like going into the office, talking to people, dressing up. I like that stuff, but I also want that flexibility. Like if I choose not to, but most of the time, if I want to like go in and just talk to people, I like that. And you'll see, like, the more you advance, the more the soft skills are super important. Understanding the people management side of things, that's key, because those things play a long end game depending on where you want to go. Because like at the end of the day, people work with people they trust, they know. That's just pretty much it, man. And most of the times, the connections don't even happen at the work. Might build some good connection at happy hour or at the golf course or just random activities. You'll be surprised where he built the most connections, and sometimes it's not even at work. So I say this to say we all need people, because you never know when one person's gonna just, be that person to open that door, because you might get like 1,000 no's. All you really need is that one yes. Once you get one yes, can really change your whole entire life. Literally, your whole entire life. But that requires the commitment to keep going, the commitment to keep doing things, and not necessarily need a cat chasing you to be committed, because sometimes you're going to need to start that fire within, and whether if it's getting more positive people around you, and sometimes it might just be changing your mindset. And maybe the way you change your mindset is, who knows, by going to church, surrounding yourself with better people, just doing things to just try to change within. Because at the end of the day, you can't do things differently if your mindset isn't shift. So yeah, that's just pretty much it.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for taking our time again to
Mm-hmm.
to speak with me.
Yeah.
I keep starting with the days. What day is it today? Saturday?
Yeah, today's Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Any plans for the rest of the day?
Yeah. I have an open mic, but before this, I will probably work out, because
I love how you just kind of just like stepped over the open mic. Like,
yeah, open mic. No, I did talk about poetry and stuff like that. So one of the things that I do to just create healthy outlets and expressions, and that's also goes into me trying to be a better man, is just, put myself out there to, you know, speak my poetry to people and to just use my words to inspire people, because that's the thing I do on the side, and I'm trying to perfect that, because this will be technically my second open mic. And mind you, I'm doing this. I am nervous because I'm here. I have to just be all creative and speak poetry to people. That's just a whole new realm for me, but that's not going to stop me, because I find great joy in doing that. So my goal is, the more I do it, the better I will become. So yeah, I will be, hopefully I get selected to go up, because it's like with these poetry things, you gotta like put your name in, and if you get picked, you get picked. You're not guaranteed to get picked, but I'll show up with the hopes of I get picked, and if I get picked, that's just more practice for me.
So that's a good mentality. I'm just
Yeah.
still pretty shocked at how I never got an invite to any of these, but I won't take it personally yet.
Well,
It's fine. It's okay. I think
Hey,
I think right, but
I'm trying to perfect my craft.
yeah,
I'm
in private,
yeah,
so no one sees your
yeah,
mistakes.
Yeah. I'm trying to, get good at it, and then I'll start inviting people.
Okay.
Hey, look. Hey, I'm on IG. You can see some of my work, man. J. Mateo Zander.
You're doing exactly what like typical mentor would do.
Yeah.
Just check my website.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, check my content.
Jeff, thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this was pretty good. This was pretty good. Mm-hmm.
In between the corporate handshake.
Yeah, with the handshake, but make it more modern. Like, see how y'all youngsters do it.